Welcome to Diary of a Private Investigator. My name is Nathan, I'm your host, and this is episode 3. If you didn't listen to episode 2, please do listen to episode 2 and episode 1. Last month I spoke with a colleague of mine and competitor, Dan Burke, who also is a private investigator near to me. That was a good conversation. I've had listened back to it just for a bit of feedback. It's pretty good that we bounce off each other. So I'm hoping that whilst talking on my own, today it'll be equally as interesting and entertaining as always. Got some good stories for you coming in this podcast. I've had some feedback. They want to hear more stories, so more stories you shall have. So, first little bit of housekeeping is going to be the warnings. As you may have heard in episode 1, I talked about watch out for the bit of bad language and the adult themes. Now, in today's podcast, there is going to be an adult theme, and that is the undercover work that I had to do in a massage parlour. That was a hard job. For now. Also, there might be the odd dad joke in. I think I might have just slipped one out just then, so watch out for dad jokes. And also, this is called Diary of a Private Investigator. So this month, I am going to talk about what's happened to me. And that is going to be a bit of a rant alert. So there are 3 warnings here. When I was asked for discount or asked to give discount for my services. So we've got a bit of a show here. We've got a bit of a lineup. So sit back, enjoy, and listen away. So this month, I've had an inquiry regarding a cheating partner, as we get. It's the bread and butter of the job. There are other jobs that obviously I will be talking about throughout this series of episodes. But this month, the one that I want to talk about was somebody that rang up, picked my brains no end about what can we do? Can we put trackers on cars? Do we follow? How many people do we have following them? Where are they going? Doing all the planning, really, really digging down deep into everything that all the services that I can offer and how we can get the job to the best result for that particular person to see whether that person is or is not cheating. So we went through that, spent half an hour. We do free consultations at Dallas Investigations. So he fully took advantage of that free consultation to get all the information he could. And then at the end of the conversation, he was right, okay, leave it with me. Let me just have a think about it and I'll get back in touch with you. Not a problem. Until he rang back a couple of hours later and said, yeah, brilliant, like what you do, like your costs. However, I've just spoken to another private investigator called Dan, and he's going to do it for this amount of money. And I was like, all right, okay. What, you mean Dan Burke? Which, ironically enough, I'd just spoken to a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Oh, that's him. Yeah, Dan Burke. Yeah, he's going to do it for X amount of pounds. So I said, all right, okay, yeah, brilliant. So he says, so what price are you going to do it for then? So I said, what I quoted. So are you going to do it for cheaper then? Are you going to throw that tracker in for free? No. All right. So you're not going to do it any cheaper? I'm like, no, that's my price. This is what I do. This is the experience that I've got, the expertise that I've got, and these are my prices. If you want discount, then maybe in a week or two's time, when we've done several deployments and we've got to know each other, then yeah, we may look at a sort of a bundle. But first conversation, you want a discount? You don't know me, you don't work with me, I don't know you, not work with you, and you're already saying you want discount? Nah, you're all right. So he's all right. Well, I'll go with Dan then. Okay. Silence. So I'm going to go with Dan then. Yeah. No, I heard you first time. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem. Crack on. So conversation ends. So obviously I know Dan. I've got his number. So I thought I'd ring him up. And it wasn't about, now then, Dan, you cheeky monkey man, trying to undercut me in prices. It was more of a conversation of, just to let you know, I think we're being played off against each other here. And if he comes back to you and says, oh yeah, just spoken to Nathan, and Nathan's going to do it for even cheaper than what you're going to do it for, just to give you a heads up, and I've not budged on price. So I ring him up. He answers, oh yeah, are you dealing with Mr. X. Yeah. I've just had an hour's consultation with him, this and the other, and he mentioned you and this and the other. Give him a price, and so I said, all right, yeah, brilliant. I says, what price did you give him? And obviously Dan tells me what he's quoted, and I'm like, all right, that's interesting, because he's just come back to me and said that you've done it for a lot cheaper than what you've just sort of said. And he's like, oh, that's interesting, because he's literally just got off the phone to me saying that a colleague of mine called, let's just call him Dave for argument's sake, that's not his real name, Dave's just said that he'll do it for even cheaper than me. And I sort of said, well, very interesting, but this is my price and this is what I'm going to do it for. So I said, well, clearly he's just ringing round and he's bouncing us all off each other, trying to get the best price, trying to get the best discount. So the guy went elsewhere, and so the bit of a rant warning is basically, don't ring me up and ask for discount straight away, because if you're the kind of person that rings somebody up and says, this is what I want, this is a service I have, and I give you a price, bearing in mind my experience, the equipment that I've got, the knowledge that I've got, etc., boring. That is it. That's what you're paying for. And if you want to pay cheaper than that, then go elsewhere and get somebody who may or may not be less experienced, may not got the kit that I've got. I just don't want to work with you. So I've got to that stage. I've been in private investigation 5 years now. Obviously, I've not got a business background. I've got a police background. We're not businessmen and women in the police service. So I've had to learn the hard and fast way of dealing with business in private industry. And this kind of links in nicely to one of the first big customers that I ever got as Dallas Investigations. And it all started off where brand new shiny website, brand new shiny PI, gets a phone call. Can you follow my ex-wife? We're getting divorced. I need to know what assets she's got, because she's not declaring everything under the divorce. I know she's got more. Can we ascertain what she's got? Yeah, not a problem. Right, I need you for 20 hours Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, oh my God, this is first customer ever, and I'm getting 20 hours. Holy schmoly. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely brilliant. This is my hourly rate. This is what I can do you for. And then I said, anything over and above the first 20 hours, I'll do you a reduced fee of X amount of pounds. All right, yeah, brilliant. So we do the surveillance. So I'm parked outside this tower block in this particular part of the country. Anyway, fast forward 20 hours later, she just doesn't come out. She doesn't show. So we go back. She just never left. Well, she must have left. Well, she didn't leave. Well, I know she left because I've got her on Facebook doing X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm telling you now, she didn't leave from that tower block. Right. So we do a bit more research, and we actually find that she's living in the tower block across the road, which is, he could have saved himself 20 hours worth of payment there, but hey ho, thank you and please. So we do some research, we find out she's in the tower block across the road, so we set up some more surveillance, and we do the surveillance, and we find her. She comes out of the building, and we follow her, and she happens to work in a massage parlour. So we tie her there to a place of employ. Put the invoice in, and he sort of says, "Oh, hold on a minute, like this isn't your hourly rate. Your hourly rate's the over and above the 20-hour hourly rate, the discounted rate. This is your discount rate." And me being naive and green in business, and also knowing that I might have to work in a massage parlour, turns around and says, "All right, yeah, okay then. Slight misunderstanding, slight miscommunication, but yeah, on under these circumstances, I'll honour the original discounted price over and above the initial 20 hours." So, and there we started, and then we went down the path of discounts, reduced hours, wanting a bit more off. Can you do a discount here? Can you do this, that? And on it went. And before I knew it, I was traveling an hour away from home. I was only working for 3 hours, and then I was coming back, and I found myself that I was actually working for a pittance. So it was a big learning curve for me of sticking to your guns. Your price is your price. You're paying for the experience and knowledge. So don't go down that route. You can keep that bit in, by the way, here if you want to, Adam. Oh dear. But the other part of the story, what sort of tickles me is, so we get her to a massage parlour. She's working in a massage parlour, and I think it was £40 for a full body massage. But on a Monday, it's discounted and it's only £30. So he's saying to me, right, I need you to go into this massage parlour because we need to have a conversation about who owns the massage parlour, how many staff has she got, what does she charge for various things, and obviously we need to try and find out whether she's got any other properties, does she live there or does she rent, or all these extra questions. But it's £30 on a Monday, so can you only go across on a Monday? And I'm like thinking, you have just spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds doing the surveillance, and then you only want me to go for a massage on a Monday because you're saving a tenner. And I was like, flipping it. Talk about cheap up north. So obviously begrudgingly, I'm like, oh God, if I've got to go in and have a massage, I suppose I can do that. Obviously, taps chest. Things you can do for a good job. So yeah, not a problem. So we drive over and we'll obviously get her into her place of work. Now, I'd like to think of myself as a worldly man. As you know, I've got some good stories. I've been there, seen it, done it, got the T-shirt. There's not much that phases Mr. Nathan here. He can do much. He can do much, and has seen quite a lot. But I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I've been into a Thai massage parlour, and I was a little bit, what's going to go off here? Obviously, we know the stories. We've heard the rumours. So we go in, and I walk in and talk to reception, and I've obviously got to ask for this particular lady. But as I walk in, it just so happens there's sort of 2 or 3 ladies working that day, that evening. So I walk in and I've heard that, let's call her Sue, I'll just pick a name at random. I've heard that Sue's a really good masseuse. Is Sue working this evening? Yeah, Sue's working this evening. I'm like, brilliant. I've come for a full body massage. Got a sporting injury, lower back. Did it playing football? You know what I mean? Can I have Sue? Yeah, no problem. So we go to get led into this room, and in walks this sweet little Thai girl, and her name is not Sue, and she is not the soon-to-be ex-wife of the client. So I'm like, oh, flipping it. So anyway, gets on the table, and I'm having I'd like to say a rub down, but flipping heck, if anybody's ever had a Thai massage, I walked in and I'm laying down, and there's a rope above the table. I'm thinking, I wonder what that's for. Well, it turns out that then when they're walking on you, they hold onto the rope so they don't fall off. So I've got this woman walking up and down my spine, and things are cracking that shouldn't be cracking. And I'm trying to have a conversation, and I'm saying to her, so you've been here for very long? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm not insulting any Thai listeners by trying to do a Thai accent, but she's like, oh yeah, I've been here sort of 3 months. And I'm like, oh, very chill, enjoy it. Oh, is it good? Oh yeah, very good, yeah. Oh, how do you work? And he's like, oh, so I don't know. So I know I try to get some information out of it, and I eventually find out there's sort of about 5 different girls working there. They all work shifts, and they're basically paid per massage. So I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you. That was brilliant. Thank you. So I walk out and I put my report in, and he's like, why did you not get Sue? And I was like, well, I asked for Sue, but Sue didn't walk into the room. Oh, it's just terrible. You're going to have to do it again next week. Oh, that's awful. I've got to go back to have another massage next week and get paid for it. Oh, no, that's awful. Okay, I'll just check my diary. Yeah, I can do it. So we drive up next week, and I walk in, and I'm hey, back again. Oh, yeah. So that was a brilliant massage last week. Brilliant. Sorted me right out. I do a lot of driving. I'm driving up and down the country. My shoulders are really tight, hunched over that steering wheel all the time. Could I have a massage? Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, come in. So, hi, Sue working? Yeah, Sue's working. And Sue walks around the corner and says hello. Oh, hello, how are you doing? Who recommended you? You probably can't remember him, to be honest with you. And this is where being a PR, you've got to think on your feet. Kind of going in the serious tact. You've got to be a good communicator. You've got to have a backstory. You've got to walk into anywhere and already have a backstory to what you're thinking about. And that's the same for every job. So I'm like, oh yeah. Dave came in the other week. You might remember, mechanic, bit mucky. He sort of said that he had you, and she's like, oh, and then she kind of goes, oh, I remember him. Yeah. Oh, that's good then, because he never existed. But hey ho. So anyway, we go in and lays down on the bed, obviously keeping your pants on, and then in walks Kim. And Kim starts doing me a massage. And I'm like, oh, I was expecting Sue. Oh no, Sue. I slipped into accent then. Sue's busy next door with a regular. Oh right, okay, then not to worry. So I have to suffer an hour's massage again, being rubbed up and down and creaked and cranked in places. Get a bit more information. Anyway, fast forward a couple of weeks, and client's not happy because they're having to pay all these extra £30 for a massage on a Monday. So eventually we get Sue and we go in. And we lay down. Now, Sue's doing all the stuff like tweaking me in places that shouldn't be tweaked. So I'm getting all this information out of, have you been here long? No, I've only been here X amount of months. And it's almost like going to the hairdressers that you start a conversation and they'll just tell you anything. It's like, before you know it, you know the world. And I've got where she's come from, which part of Thailand she's from. I know that how long she's owned the place. I know who she rents it from. I know how much she pays in rent. I know how many people work for her. I know what hourly rate they're on. Pretty much find out the world. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. I'm getting everything out of her. So it's the same old when I'm like, so can you tell me about... And then she's got a Thai accent and she's sort of saying, oh yeah, I live in a certain part of Thailand, and I'm trying to clarify. Obviously, it's all been covertly recorded on a listening device that I've got. So I'm trying to qualify what region of Thailand she said, and I'm saying, stop Pattaya. And she's going, Pattaya. I'm like, oh. So I'm trying to work it out, and then I'm trying to get brother's name because she's sort of saying, oh, like, I don't own it anymore. Brother's got it, and he's called Chakapata. And I'm like, Chakapata, your brother. And it's like, yeah, that's my brother. So I'm like, all right, brilliant. So I guess all this information. Anyway, part of the script is how much is she declaring in tax and whether it's cash in hand or not. And so I have to, obviously, the times I've been here, I've paid card. So I'm like, I've got cash. Oh, yeah, brilliant. And this is where, if there's any young children listening, it might be appropriate for adults to cease the podcast at this time, because part of the script of what I've got to ask her is if they offer any extras. And by extras, I'm not talking about a scalp massage. So I'm laid there and I'm thinking, oh, this is awful. Dad joke alert. I've been happily married now for 7 years. I've been married for 21 years, but I've been happily married for 7 years. But obviously wife's listening, so that's a joke. So I'm laid there. So I'm kind of like, do you offer any extras? And she's like, oh, no. I own the place. I don't do extras. But Kim does. I'll go and get Kim. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. How much is it? Oh, £20 for hand job. I'm like, right, okay. I said, actually, no, I've changed my mind. And she's like, no, I'll go and get Kim. And I'm like, no, I've changed my mind. I said, to be honest with you, I'm married. I feel really guilty. I'm really sorry for asking. I'm really. I said, I've only asked because my friends come and my friends sort of say, oh, it's brilliant. You do this, you do that, and you get a hand job at the end. It's great. And I said, to be honest with you, I've kind of just got a bit carried away with myself, and I don't really want to. And it's not a problem. No, I'll go and get Kim. I'm like, no, please don't get Kim. I don't want Kim. Please just finish the massage. Let me get out of here. I've got the information that I need. So Kim doesn't come, thank God, and neither do I. But so we come out and we get dressed and we leave, and I'm like, flipping heck, that was a little bit embarrassing. Thank God it was a dark room, because I think my face was a little bit red. So we come out and I supply the information to the client, who's obviously more than happy that we've got all the information. So that was a good job. Obviously, everything was covertly recorded. So as I get back home and tell the lady wife, I've got I just had to go in massage parlour again, and this is what's happening. I'm sort of saying, and you can listen to the recording if you want to. You can listen to the recording. Nothing happened. And she's like, yeah, I know, I trust you. And I'm like, I know, but if you want to listen to the recording, you can listen to the recording, because obviously you can hear me leaving. And she's like, no, it's fine. So thank God for that. That's probably the reason why we're still married after 20 odd years, that we trust each other. So that was that part. But the discount part, we just got a bit daft. But the other part that I was going to talk about. So so we get her back home, and she's in this particular tower block in this particular area of a city, which obviously I'll not name. Can't give out too many details. So we get her back, and I'm parked up there. Get her back into the tower block, and part of private investigation and surveillance is, I've said it before and I'll say it again and I'll say it a million times more, that sometimes when you watch TV, it's not always like it says on TV. You're not generally sat in the front with a hot steaming coffee and a donut and making notes, and you're not sort of 15 yards away from where the subject's parked or the subject's home address, and then you come out and you turn your headlights on and you get directly behind them, like 5 feet behind them, driving down the road. It's all more subtle than that. There's this distance involved. We've got trigger cams that we use, or we'll hide out somewhere or whatever without giving away too many tactics. But we don't often sit in the front. But on this particular occasion, she's come back by taxi. I've pulled in. There's limited parking. I get parked up, get her back into the flat. That's fine. I've only got another half an hour to go. I might as well just sit here and wait it out before I shoot off. Anyway, 2 minutes later, ARV drives in, which is armed response vehicle, police, with the guns and stuff. They drive in, look around the car park, see me, straight over to my vehicle, white window down. You're right, youth, what you doing then? And that's where you're thinking on your feet, and you're thinking, right, what am I going to say? What's all my excuses? Bearing in mind, I've got a camcorder in my van. I've got a beanbag in the back for sitting in and getting comfortable. I've got various utensils that in my vehicle that maybe the ordinary person shouldn't have in their vehicle. What do we say? Yeah, knowing full well, being ex-cop, that you can sniff a lie out at 100 paces, and anybody that is ever so mildly dodgy, you're getting out and you're searching them. So it's like, right, do you know what? I'm just gonna have to just be honest, and I said, look, private investigator, currently following the subject. They've just gone into that building there. I'm just watching them to see if they come back out, and here's my business card. This is obviously it's my business. You can ring that number, and that mobile there on my seat will ring. It's all legitimate, blah blah blah. All right, yeah, no, that's fine. Just to let you know that we're in the area. We've got a heavy police presence in this area at this moment in time, because somebody got murdered here last week in this very same car park. So just be on the lookout, just in case you see anybody loitering near your vehicle. Okay, Mr. Officer, thank you. So I'll as all ARVs and traffic cops say, I'll leave you with it, kid. Window goes up, because obviously you don't get out of your vehicle if you don't have to. Obviously, a bit of rib taking there for departments that we used to work in. We used to take the piss out of each other for they don't do anything, CID, they don't do anything. So off they go, and so I'm sat there then thinking, all right, so I'm now sat here in my vehicle, it's 11:30 at night, pitch black, in a car park, in a dodgy area, and somebody got murdered here last week. Very interesting, thank you very much. I'll just check whether my ignition works. Oh, it does. Oh, look, my engine's on. Oh, flipping heck, I happen to be on the road on the way home. Thank you, please. So that was that job. Hope you enjoyed that little cheeky story there about that one. So moving on from that. So big name drop alert. So I had a phone call last month from a TV production company who was interested in what private investigators get up to. And me being the narcissist that I am, that's why I'm doing the podcast at the end of the day, because I like the sound of my own voice. I think I'm interesting. I think I've got some good stories. So why not just talk to a microphone and go cross-eyed and listen to yourself? So one of the questions that they asked me was, is private investigation dangerous? And they asked me loads of questions. It was great. I loved it. Is it dangerous? And there's no straightforward answer to that. And so the quick answer is it is as dangerous as you make it. And what I mean by that is it dangerous? It can be dangerous. So I've had some clients approach me for various things. Quite a common one is, can you do surveillance? I think my son is drug dealing. Yes, I can. However, drug dealers by nature are massively anti-surveillance. They are fully aware of vehicles on roads, people walking by. They've got what we say is they've got their heads on stalks. It's like meerkats looking around all the time, looking in windows, looking in cars. They'll think absolutely not. I've done a surveillance in the police where we targeted car crime when back in the day when people had sat navs, them things that you put on in your car that look like a telephone but aren't a telephone because they can only do one thing, and that's get you from A to B. That was short-lived, weren't it? We had a massive sat nav theft spate in Sheffield, and we were plotted up nearby, and they're actually not bothered. They just walk up, they just tap on your window. All right, officer. And then they walk off. Or even if you're hiding in a van, they'll come up and start rocking the van. Pigs are in van, pigs are in van. And like rocking you, and you're sat there like rocking on a ship on a storm, pretending not to trying not to say anything so you don't get game away. But they're not daft. They're not number plates. They're all surveillance vehicles and what have you. So it's the same with drug dealers. If they see a vehicle on a road where they're dealing, they're not that daft. They see it. So do you take on those jobs? Yes and no. You take on those jobs with the proper planning, with the proper staffing involved, and the correct technology and equipment. So you're not as close as what you think you are, and you do it safely, and you put that budget upon the client and say, yeah, we can do it, but this is what we're doing it. And on jobs like that, there's no leeway. There's no, actually, can you do it with less operatives? Actually, can you? No, I can't. We're talking about health and safety here. This is my price. This is what we're going to do. Take it or leave it. Thank you very much. I've had a job where we were following somebody who just happened to be ex-military and trained in surveillance, and by being trained in surveillance and having a job that involved surveillance that he did for a living, by the very nature of that, obviously you are trained in anti-surveillance because you know the surveillance techniques. You therefore know how to do anti-surveillance and counter-surveillance. So following that person very, very quickly turned into, hold on a minute, this person's doing some really strange maneuvers. Like, I mean, I'll tell you what they did. Things like, so going round and round. I may have mentioned this before, but your anti-surveillance is if you get to a roundabout and you go around a roundabout 3 times, and then you're obviously looking at who's following you. You send in the team of people that's following you off in all different directions because you're driving around, and anybody who's new into private investigation will just happily drive around the roundabout 3 times as well. And you're like, I think I've spotted you. Thank you. And daft things like going through red lights, speeding, slowing down. There's loads of anti-surveillance things that you can do, which is what I do, to be fair, apart from the red lights, obviously. Everything I do is legal. That's what, if I finish a job and I'm driving home late at night and I've got a car behind me, I'll just go around about a couple of times and see what happens to them. It's just the nature of what I do. It's just about being careful. So can it be dangerous? Yes, it can. Can it be personally dangerous? Again, yes, it can. I mean, you at the end of the day, you're surveilling people. Part of the questions that I ask the clients is, have you hired somebody before? I have a lot of standard questions that I'll ask, and I'll sort of say, have you hired a private investigator before? And what I'm really digging at is, if the answer is yes, why are you not still using them? And inevitably it'll be a case of, well, they got blown out, so now I'm using you. Now, I'm not being funny. I'm good at what I do, but I'm not invisible. So if you've hired a private investigation company before and they blew out, that person now is super aware of their surroundings, and it makes our job 10 times harder. And it's so you've got to plan appropriately. Again, it changes the whole staffing level, dynamics, tech, everything like that. You've got to be aware of things like that. One thing I was taught in the cops was, when you are faced with an imminent threat of violence, there's basically 2 things. So the one is what they described as the cock, which is the chicken version of cock. The whole blustering, the whole making yourself bigger, they're sort of standing tall, standing on tiptoes, being flat on towards you, making himself big, shouting in your face, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's all about intimidation. And what they teach you is that the person that's blustering in front of you and making himself big and bouncing around and shouting, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, they're the ones who aren't the real threat. They're the ones who are trying to intimidate you and face you down. The ones that you got to be careful of are the ones that are quiet. The ones that it's little things like, the difference is that the one who's trying to make themselves big is sort of got the chin up in the air, and obviously the throat's a target, but they're trying to make themselves big. The one that's going to strike is the one who's got their chin down to naturally protect their neck area. It's the one who's stood side on in sort of a boxing stance because they're getting ready to strike. They're quiet because they've initiated, all the peripheral vision's gone and they're looking for areas to strike because they've had enough. And it's identifying the difference between the one who's shouting and blustering and the one who's a little bit quiet and thinking how are they stood, what they're looking at doing. So you've got to be alive to that. You've got to be switched on. I say the word alive a lot because you've got to be alive to your surroundings. Doing surveillance and being a private investigator, you don't switch off. I was thinking about this on the way down to do this podcast, is that I've got the experience. I've got all these years, and I do it without even thinking. If I go into a restaurant or a pub, I'll be the one who's sat at the back with their back to the wall. I don't ever sit with my back to the entrance. It's just something that you just naturally do. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not facing imminent threat from anybody that I'm aware of, but I don't like to not be able to see anybody who's in. I'm taking everything in all the time, looking around. Have I seen that person before? What's that person doing? And remember I talked about the sort of the swan effect of being a surveillance operative on the last episode. You sort of sat there and you're nice and calm, you're drinking your coffee, but actually you're watching, you're doing, you're thinking, right, who's that person? What's that person doing? Do I get my covert out? Do I relay to the other operatives that they've just entered, this, that, and the other? You kind of on high alert all the time. So that's sort of the danger part of it. And and then lastly, it's the communication part of things. Is it dangerous? It's how you talk to people and what you are doing. If you have to be one-to-one on somebody, you've got to be a good communicator in this job. You've got to be able to talk yourself out of situations. Now, bit of a business thing that obviously Dallas Investigations is my business. Now, anybody that's looked at my website, I am also a certificated enforcement agent, which is a bailiff and old money, but an enforcement agent. And part of my role, what I do in that part of the business is dealing with travellers who camp on land illegally. And my job is just to go in and get them gone. Now, if I walk into the middle of a traveller site and say, right, you've all got to go, you're going now, this, that, and other, start throwing my weight around, then that's only going to end in one way. So it's how you talk to them. You've got to have kahuna burgers to walk in and talk to 10 caravans with of travellers and sort of ask them to leave. And I say ask instead of tell, because if you go in and tell them to leave, it already raises that bar, doesn't it? So you've got to be able to talk to people in a polite way. It kind of comes from the experience of being a detective. Anybody that's seen the Bourne Identity, that was basically me. The fight scene where all he's got is a pen. And they're fighting for 15 minutes. That's basically me, but without the fighting bit. I'd often go in and I'd be arresting dangerous offenders. And my entire PPE, personal protective equipment, was sort of a pen. And you go in, you talk to them, you have a conversation. If it looks like it's going to get a little bit cheeky lively, we may sort of extricate ourselves and get some other colleagues to come in who are better equipped at that. But 9 times out of 10, it's how you talk to people, and you're alive to how they're reacting. If they're blustering, you sort of let them blow themselves out and sort of bring them out anyway. If they're all quiet and looking a little bit threatening, you kind of assess it. So, is it dangerous? It's as dangerous as you make it. You've got to have the planning, you've got to have the awareness, you've got to have the confidence, and you've got to be alive to the surroundings, to the stimuli. And it's not always a person that you're dealing with. It's the person who's a friend of a person. I think when we Dan and I were talking last month. We talked about that if you're going to get compromised, more often than not, you get compromised by somebody who isn't the subject. So you've got to have peripheral vision as to who's watching you do what you're doing, and be aware of that. Last little thing I want to talk about is sort of the danger element was. And this is probably going to be an episode in itself, all about the learning and the knowledge of being a private investigator. But when I was thinking about sort of, is it dangerous? I'll just leave you with another little story. But when I started out and I was working with somebody who was quite new to the business, and we were out, and it was Mad Friday. We call it Mad Friday in England, and it's basically the last Friday before Christmas, and it's when everybody, all the parties, everybody's straight out of work from their offices, straight into the pub at whatever 12 o'clock onwards, drinking alcohol like it's going out of fashion. We're on a particular job, and it's we think that the boss is having an affair with one of the staff. So it's our job to watch the boss on this night out, and see if they get up to no good. So we tip up, we turn up, and this particular colleague of mine is wearing a hoodie, and it's like, okay, that's interesting, I tell you. Have you not got a shirt on or something a bit smarter? No, it's cold, isn't it? I'm wearing a hoodie. And you're like, if you look around, there's nobody else wearing hoodies. Everybody else is like in shirts and dresses and smart stuff. No, I'll be fine. So, okay, I'll go with it. So we go into this pub, and we're watching this group of people. Anyway, my colleague takes a photograph of the boss interacting with staff members, and then sort of turns around and starts editing the photograph there and then. And you're like, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just doing edit now so I can capture boss talking to that person, and then I don't have to do it later. And you're like, so I said to them, I'm like, do you not realise that half of this pub is the works due? And if anybody sees you on your phone with a photograph of their boss, is going to come up and sort of say, why you got a photograph of my boss on your phone? Oh, right, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. And you're like, well, okay, I'm thinking like Private Investigation 101, sort of do your edits and stuff later. So anyway, we carry on. So they move on to another pub, and we move on to the next pub and the next pub. Anyway, we sort of this person is constantly, the person that I'm working with is constantly on the phone, and they're chatting to the partner and not interacting with me in any way, shape or form. And I'm sort of sat there trying to do the job, trying to act natural, while the other person's just on the phone. And I'm saying to them, we need to interact. We need to look like we belong here. We're standing out by the very fact that we're not communicating. We're not talking to each other. You're on your phone all the time. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. We're showing out. You've got to blend into the background. Yeah. Let me just send this text. Anyway, third pub in, somebody walks up straight up to us. You following us? It's like, what do you mean? Well, I've noticed that in first pub, you were there. In second pub, you were there. And in third pub, you're there. Anyway, we have to sort of bluff it out and sort of say, oh, no, we're just on a works night out. And then you sort of start going into the, obviously, like I said earlier on, you've always got to have a backstory for everything. So the backstory is I'm training this person up in enforcement. I'm an enforcement agent. They're brand new to the job. They're staying over, so I've brought them out for a night out, and that's why we're here, and that's why really we're not really getting on very much, because we both want a beer, but clearly we're not sort of together. Obviously, that's the conversation that I'm having with this other person on the side, shouting in their ear because of the music, and that was the reason why we were in these pubs, but not really talking to each other. But you kind of got to think on your feet and have a cover story. And afterwards, I was like, that was just awful. That was really a poor deployment. So there's other stories I can tell about, like I say, Private Investigation 101, the do's and the don'ts of private investigation. But that just kind of highlights the fact that if you're not properly prepared in your dress, in your deployment, you're not really committed to it, you're not blending in, you're going to show out. And by showing out, if you increase the amount of times that you're going to blow out and get shown out, then you are increasing the likelihood that you're going to have a confrontation. So the best things to do is plan, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the people that you're interacting with, and be a good communicator. Because if all else fails, This podcast is going to start featuring on TikTok, and anybody who's looking at me now on TikTok, I've told Adam not to get a side profile because this nose, if this nose gets broken in a fight, I'll probably bleed out and die of blood loss rather than get stabbed and die of that. So a nose of this size does not want to get broken, trust me. So if I get into a fight, we've failed. We don't do it. And the joke in the cops when I used to go out and I'd take the plating out of the front of the stab-proof vest and just have the plating in the rear, and people would be saying, "Why are you doing that?" I was saying, because I ain't getting stabbed in front. As soon as somebody pulls a knife, I'm off. So the only place I'm getting stabbed is in back. So stuff that you got to be aware, and you got to know when you're going to lose, and sort of run away. So anyway, so this episode is going on TikTok, which I'm told this is what youths of today listen to. Apparently it's all the rage. So we're going to try and get a little bit more popular by spreading the word. So just about to wrap up now. So we'll do all the tidying up bits. That if you've enjoyed the stories, if you enjoyed the podcast, I don't massively advertise it. I'll put it out on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and that's about where my marketing goes. So if you do listen to it, please share. Please tell your friends to listen to it. Share it on whatever platforms you listen to, and obviously leave me a review and subscribe and all that good stuff. Do all that. That's me signing off. Thanks for listening, and take care. And I'll speak to you in episode 4. Thank you.